you had questions, if you'd write it down on a piece of paper and I'd address it on your turn. I thought I said that.
I did too.
Who heard me say that? Yay. Here we go. On top of this one, write the word lines.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter if you've already got these, you can just put a couple more in there. And again, mostly definitions today. Different types of lines we have. One of them is parallel lines. Parallel lines are, here you go, Colin, here's your chance. What are parallel lines? Oh boy. After all that, what's it mean to be parallel? Addie.
That they will never touch.
Very good. Lines that never cross. And they don't and will never is actually the way it should work. Will never cross. In your example, you can only do this so well freehand. Okay? But I guess the gist of it would look like this. And we said lines, so we need to have arrows. Okay? Parallel are lines that don't or will never cross. In the real world, where do you see parallel lines? Jordan, do you have an example of where parallel lines you would see? In this room, there's 1,000 examples you could tell me of. Yeah, let's see.
The chalkboard.
Yep, the bottom and the top of the chalkboard are two lines. The ceiling tiles, there's a whole bunch of parallel lines.
Yeah, really?
Trevor,
The Albert Einstein posters.
the Albert Einstein posters, everything. You got the top and the bottom are parallel. That's all sorts of stuff. We could go on forever with that. Now, lines that are not parallel, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, lines that will cross, we have a big highfalutin word that we call intersecting lines. And they are lines that do cross. An intersecting line can be either one of two things. One type of intersecting line we call perpendicular. And perpendicular lines, children, do what, you know? What's it mean to be perpendicular? Sammy says, what do you think?
Right?
What?
Right?
Not necessarily straight. All lines are straight, by the way. So if it's the word line by itself means it has to be straight. But what? This is two lines, perpendicular. You have to have two lines to be perpendicular, and they are, Victoria.
They have to be crossing.
Yeah, that's intersecting. But what special type of crossing? Oh, by the way, parallel lines, railroad tracks. Speaking of railroad crossings, Nathan.
Someday, make a right angle.
There you go. Yep. They have to create or form a right angle. Okay, and there's a couple different ways you could look. It'd be like this and like this. Okay, they don't have to like, by the way, an intersecting line could look just like this. Sorry, I should have got that one a little straighter. It doesn't have to go all the way through, but as long as it touches, it's still intersecting. You could have that like that, those are intersecting. And if you want to show that it's a right angle, because I know you're not perfect, anybody know what you do on a drawing to show that something is supposed to be a right angle? Julia? Nope. You're close, maybe. Not quite. Frankie?
Draw a little square.
Yeah, you put just a little teeny tiny little box in this corner. That just shows somebody that you meant that to be square, a nice square corner. So those are perpendicular. You know, if you ask somebody how they're doing and they say they're perpendicular, that's a good thing. Why?
Because they're right.
Right, because they're standing at a right angle to the ground, and that means if they're upright and they're perpendicular, they're kind of alive and not sick and laying on a bed or anything, as opposed to being parallel to the ground, which I suppose would be kind of not as good.
Sleeping.
Now, if two lines form cross and they are not perpendicular, let's say they do this, they're still intersecting. We have kind of a special name for those. One you don't hear very often. Somebody said it over here. Jordan read it out of the book, I'm guessing, or did you know it?
No,
Did you really know it?
She.
Very good. This is roots.
Yeah.
We got oblique lines.
Oh yeah.
They cross, but they don't form right angles. Now, those of you who are into body sculpting and conditioning, unlike myself, we have muscles that we call obliques. And where are they? Does anybody know? Because I might know. I have to look it up. Where are your obliques? I just know that aren't they somewhere in your? Are they the ones that give you the six pack? Are they your obliques? Those are your abs. Those are your abs. I don't have to look where your obliques are. They're somewhere in your body. Okay. I think that is all we have on lines. So take out your other piece of paper because the second thing we talk about today are angles.
I think we talked about. Oh.
Not to be mistaken for angels, which are spelled with the same letters, just in a different order. Angles and angels?
Yes.
Really? How about that? When we talk about angles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of angles that you children need to be able to identify. We've got this one. We've got this one. I'm sure you've had this before. We've got this one. And we have one more, which I'll have to switch over here to this one. The first one is kind of our cornerstone angle. We base a lot of things on this one. And I probably should have done, oh, I did do that there. This one here is or a Colton, a?
Right angle.
Correct. This is a right angle, simply because it has a right angle in it. It has a 90-degree angle in it. Or angle. That's the beauty of the eraser. Angle. Now, if you have an angle that's less than 90 degrees, a smaller than 90 degrees, now watch, here's where math comes in handy. Rather than writing the word less than, guess what I'm going to put down? The less than symbol. Less than 90 degrees. We call that, Maggie?
A cute.
Yep, it's just a cute little angle. Okay, and don't be confused. It doesn't matter how you draw the angle. This one happens to be pointing up, but my acute angle could point down. It could point sideways. All of these are acute angles.
Isn't the less than sign an acute angle?
The less than sign is an acute angle as well. So there's no. How about the guy that's greater than 90 degrees? Greater than 90 degrees. Trevor, he is.
Oblique.
Nope, those are the crossing lines. But you're close. It starts with an O. Sam?
Obtuse? Oh,
It
yeah.
is obtuse. And it's probably not a compliment to call somebody obtuse. I don't know what it doesn't really mean anything to me. But
Meaning like fat?
no, I don't think it means fat. It maybe more means dense. You're not. Well, if you think about an acute angle as being sharp, an obtuse angle probably is not sharp. But if you call, somebody calls you not sharp, that's probably not what it is. And then this one right here, angle number 4, which we don't always think about as being an angle, but it is. It is 180 degrees. We call a 180 degree angle, Colin?
Straight.
Yeah, it is a straight angle. And simply because they form a straight line. Simply because they form a straight line. Oh, let's see, I don't think they have anything else there. And then I would just once again caution you to be aware, as always, make sure they're gonna either tell you to draw lines or segments. And there is going to be a difference. You know, you can draw two parallel line segments, that would be this. If they said draw two parallel lines, that would be this with arrows. Lines or line segments. Segments mean they start and stop, lines mean they go on forever. Two oblique line segments. Two perpendicular lines. Again, it's always good to show a little square corner in there. Otherwise, I don't believe this will give you a whole lot of trouble. I think you're probably good. Good enough.
Yes.